What's up, Grayson Report? Happy Memorial Day for those who celebrate it. How's your day going? What is up while we wait for people to trickle in? What's up, Tammy, Tyrana, Nikki, Delia Lux, Gunner Girl, Ann, Matthew, Chris? How's everyone doing? How is your day today? While we wait for people to come in before I get into the nitty gritty, the spooky wookie. Logical Spark, what is up? Wake Shape Berry, how's it going? Carol. Nothing much, Logical Spark. While we wait for people to come in, how was your weekend and how is your day going today? D Nice! What is up? I didn't do much today. I did a little spring cleaning. Went on a walk. That was about it. Laundry, the boring stuff. But it was a nice day today, so I'll give it that one. Got to see squirrels. Because I got the squirrel in the back that likes to eat the birdseed. So he came out. Thank you, D Nice, for your super chat. Choo choo. Hearts for D Nice, guys. Thank you, D Nice. I appreciate that. Hearts for D Nice, guys. Carol goes, I did laundry, roasted a beer can chicken with the works, and just finished the dishes. Oh, cool. Chris Barber goes, tree rats. Matthew goes, good enough. Wait for next month to be here. Need some AC to cool the place. D Nice is doing laundry as well. Wake Shape Berry likes squirrels. I do. I love squirrels. I haven't met a squirrel, though, that would walk up to me. They all run. I'm like, hi. And they're like, Aaron goes, I'm very thankful that none of my family that have served died in service. Same here. My dad went through Vietnam. He also did, I believe he was in Desert Storm as well. Helped with the LA riots back in 92. Did a lot. My dad did everything. And I know I do have on my stepsister's side, her dad also served, and her cousin is serving currently now as well. Chris is doing everybody's doing laundry today. Today's a laundry day. Why not? And I'm thankful for everyone, for all the veterans out there that fought for our freedom near and far. D Nice goes, Dad retired in 03. He was supposed to retire in 2021, but we all know what happened. Nerd Report in the house. Thanks for supporting Lisa. Carol goes, my grandfather, my dad, and my ex-husband. Anne goes, my grandfather, my dad, my son. I was actually supposed to go in, but to follow my dad's footsteps, but at the last minute, I decided not to. Rooster, how's it going? But I do have my dad's dog tag that I carry with me every day. Matthew missed out on the lightsaber deals. I know there was some sales going on out there too. I saw a bunch of them in my inbox. It's like Memorial Day sale, 20% off. I was like, I wish it was 50% off. Come on. And goes, they didn't die in service, but lost a piece of them anyways. I know, I'm pretty sure, what my dad didn't really talk about it too much, but I'm pretty sure, uh, what he saw in Vietnam was not pretty, but I totally understand what you're saying. He would like kind of talk about Vietnam, but not too in depth about it. And he thinks the one thing that he meant, because he had, if you guys aren't familiar, he passed away from Parkinson's, will be 4 years in August. And he thinks that something that he got over there during the war is what caused his disease. So I'm not sure if that was the case, but that was what his thoughts were always. Chris Burgo's grandpa and dad, but only my grandpa actually served. My dad's been in the military for like, he was in the military for pretty much all his life until he retired, because his parents had sent him to military school because of a girl. Lisa Boo! Project Metal Music says, A up, Project Metal Music. Wank Sheepberry goes, my grandpa served in World War II and my granduncle was in a prisoner of war camp. Wow. Lisa Boo goes, my dad served in Korea. D Nice goes, it's because my dad, and I'll get to you, Anne, in a second. It's because of my dad being recruited to the forces in the 70s. It's the reason my family's here. My mom came here to work as a nurse and they met here, didn't know they were neighbors in the. Wow, that is crazy. Anne, thank you for gifting 5 memberships and welcome to Leia Lux. Nikki, I Need to Fish, Project Metal Music, and Panda Bear to the Wolfpack. Hearts for Anne and all the new Wolfpack members. And if you are new to the membership thing, your membership is good for 1 month. Thank you, Anne. I appreciate that. And welcome all new members to the Wolfpack. And hearts for Anne and all the new Wolfpack members. Matthew goes, my dad got lucky. They took him to Korea instead of Vietnam. I know my dad, when I was in elementary school, my dad had to go to Korea for training. I remember that. Lisa goes, Agent Orange was horrible in the Vietnam War. I think that's what he's thinking, and I know some other people that have had issues because of that as well. D Nice goes, my mom didn't realize my dad used to drive the boat up and down the river until her friends reminded her 10 years ago. It was hilarious. Your husband rode the boats. My mom screamed. Heather Whatever goes, my dad taught sharpshooting in the army, but had strong glasses. Had it been wartime, he would have stayed in the US. He was right after Korea. Wow. My dad did everything. My dad was also a firearms instructor. So he did everything. And he had a pilot's license way back. So this is a funny story about him. He had a pilot's license. So when his parents, my grandparents, sent him away to military school because of a girl, he would fly back and forth to see her. That's the one story he would tell. I was laughing every time I hear that story. Oh, sorry to hear that, Chris. My favorite uncle was so effed up from Nam that he couldn't live with it anymore. I'm sorry to hear. I know it was rough. I know it was rough on people. And I'm sure it affected my dad. My dad really hardly ever talked about it. All right, guys, I was doing a little research. I'm going to start off with this before I get into the Disney thing. I was doing a little research because I'm still trying to find research about it because I saw someone do a video about an ex-employee of the Haunted Museum had gone to Reddit, right? To say, give away his secrets or whatnot. And I saw a YouTube video. I didn't watch the video. I just saw the headline, right? So I was like, "Oh, okay, what's this about?" So I started researching because I'm not going to go off a YouTube video. I want a source. And I found this Reddit article and the person goes, I'll show you. I think it's hilarious. That's why I want to share it. So the guy goes, it's Reddit. I worked with Zach Bagans in his museum. I worked inside the museum. I don't want to give dates, but it changed a little since my departure. I'm happy to answer any questions, honestly, about my time there, the job, or Zach himself. So I'm thinking, okay, so he's gonna like spill the beans, or maybe I finally found the right Reddit, which I still have not found that Reddit, by the way. So the first thing that comes up is, does he smell like Axe body spray? I was like, what the F? I go, the one thing you would want to know about the museum is if Zach smells like Axe body spray. NJS55, what's up? And I was like, that's why I wanted to share it. I thought this was ridiculous. I would have asked something else. Very true, Wink Shapeberry goes, they say you don't know, man. You weren't there exactly. Joanne, how's it going? Joanne, how's your bees? How are they doing? Chris Barber goes, a chick asked that. I don't know, because the name is I guess 12. And that was the first thing. Does he smell like Axe body spray? And then the guy, because they deleted their account, the original poster. It goes, kind of. It's the same douchey Axe like smell, but it's noticeably I spent way too much money on this cologne. And I'm like, what's wrong with Axe? Axe isn't that bad unless you get the really super strong ones. The super strong Axe is like horrible. But they've got some good smelling Axe. So I'm like, what's wrong with Axe? Aaron would go, what would you have asked? I would ask, well, if I could interview him, I would ask because we all know that he collects haunted objects, right, for his museum. My thing was, I always wanted to know, besides haunted objects, what else do you collect? Because most people collect like Funko Pops, like myself, Hot Wheels, the occasional haunted doll, but I'm just wondering because every time you see like an article about him, it's something like he's always been collecting haunted objects. So I'm just wondering if there's something else that he had collected besides haunted objects. And then I would want to know, like Chris would say about the dolls, because I love dolls. So I'd be in heaven if I was in a room with a bunch of haunted dolls. But he claims that he's afraid of clowns and dolls. So I would ask, like, where, um, we all know that you're afraid of clowns and dolls. Why? I would ask him, why would he put it in a museum if it's something that he's afraid of? Number one question. Number two would be like, why are you afraid of dolls and clowns? Like, what experience did you have to make you afraid of those things? Wink Shapeberry goes, like that haunted collector guy. Joanne goes, we caught 2 swarms last week and split a couple, so 12 hives doing well. Oh, that's awesome, Joanne. But like I said, what they asked was, does he smell like Axe body spray? Oh. And it's not that bad. There's some of them that are super strong, like you're but It's not that bad at all. So, today's topic is all about haunted Disneyland. Lisa Bugo's inquiring noses want to know exactly. That's the one thing that first popped up in my head. Like, I want to know what he smells like. Carol goes, I don't like clowns. Dolls don't bother me. Wake Sheep Bear goes, Old Spice is making a comeback. I mean, I would say they are because they have those cool commercials, those kind of eye catching commercials that kind of make you laugh. Chris goes, I want a man that smells like savage and leather. Anne goes, my handsome man does smells like Axe body. Yeah, see, there's nothing wrong with Axe body spray. There isn't. There used to be a female. I know. Way back in the day, they had a couple years ago. They had Axe made female body sprays, and it wasn't that bad. They stopped making them. I think they went back to just concentrating on the men body spray. Delay Lux goes, Disney had called Tinkerbell a problematic character. My thing is, I cannot wait to see all these Mickey horror films that are said to be releasing since Mickey, not the current Mickey, but the old school Mickey, Steamboat Willie, has is open domain now. So I cannot wait to see what horror movies these people have brought up with. They're already in the works. I just don't know when they're coming out. Chris Barber goes, Savage Johnny's cologne. No, I kind of figured that out, Chris. Heather, whatever, likes Tinkerbell. I would love to see Tinkerbell in a zombie apocalypse. Thank you, Heather, whatever, for your PayPal. Hearts for Heather, whatever, says your dad sounds so cool. Much respect. Thank you, Heather, whatever. And also want to thank Heather Salvatore. She is on East Coast time, but I also want to thank her for the other day for her PayPal as well. So hearts for Heather, whatever, and Heather Salvatore. I know she's saying she's on East Coast time, so she can't really which I totally understand, but she's still watching, lurking in the back. So hearts for both Heathers. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it. So I got this idea from Leonore. So hopefully she'll make it for the replay or toward the end. She gave me this idea, so I started digging into I know I kind of vaguely went over a while ago in a past stream about Disney hauntings, but I don't think I actually went in depth. And she did mention Dolly Dip, which I had never heard of. Have any of you guys heard of Dolly Dip? Having to do with believe the Matterhorn. Tyrana goes, no, I have never heard of it. So this was kind of an interesting topic for me to look up. Carol, I know what you mean. We got our internet fixed today. They replaced the modem, and the guy was so rude to me. Oh, yeah, I hate some of those cable guys because, like you said, they're rude. Sometimes I'd rather do it myself. If I could do it myself, I would do it myself. Joanne goes, no. Wake Sheepberry goes, tell us. So this is the heartbreaking true story behind the haunted Disneyland ride. So when you think of haunted rides at Disneyland, the first one to spring to mind is probably the Haunted Mansion. But for decades, rumors have circulated that it's actually the Matterhorn that's truly haunted, and it seems that there is actually a tragic true story behind the ghost tale. Back in 1884, 48-year-old Regina Dolly Young from California was killed on the Matterhorn bobsled ride when she fell out of her car and was fatally hit by another bobsled, according to the LA Times. Since then, I wonder if this goes to the original article. Oh, yeah, it does. Since then, dang, they still have the original article. That's crazy. And I'm going to have to share that one. Since then, the section where she was struck on the Tomorrowland side of the mountain has become known as Dolly's Dip, and park employees claim she still haunts the ride. A former ride operator named Kristen, who worked at the park from 1989 to 1995, claimed that she could feel a supernatural presence while operating the Matterhorn, and that other staffers told her they had seen a ghost while on the job. I worked on that ride for several years and I never saw her, but I sure did feel her, she wrote in a blog post for Wanderer Wisdom. During her first time at the Magic Kingdom, staffers were required to walk the ride after it closed every day to look for lost and found items, and she always dreaded it. Every time I was unlucky enough to get a track walking shift, I had an uneasy feeling like someone was watching me, she wrote. I was always convinced that it was Dolly, and so I would often say hi to her. The feeling was always the worst in the big cavern in the middle of the ride and at Dolly's Dip, the spot where she had died. In fact, the work lights in the tunnel near Dolly's Dip always seemed to be burned out. In 6 years, I don't think I ever saw those lights working. And sadly, this isn't the only fatal accident to ever occur on the Matterhorn. A teenage boy died after he stood up while the ride was moving and was struck in the 60s. The park has since changed the ride seatbelts, according to the Los Angeles Times, although Disney claims the redesign had nothing to do with the accidents. So the next time you visit the park, you could get your phantom fix by visiting the Haunted Mansion ride, or you could say hello to Dolly and the other spirits that allegedly still lurk in the park, including Walt Disney himself. So this is it's not when it happened. It's like 4 years after it happened, but there's also another so I guess the family of Regina sued, and this article's from 1988. That is freaking crazy how Elaine, how's it going? So, give me a second here. Might as well. This is dated March 16th, 1988. It's crazy how technology but apparently the family, Disney ride victim family sued. Woman died in Matterhorn accident. Trial was ready to begin. The family of a woman who died when she fell from her seat on Disneyland's Matterhorn ride and was struck by an oncoming car agreed to a settlement Tuesday just as jury selections in the suit was to begin. The family of Regina Young of Fremont had sued the park in Orange County Superior Court for $5 million after her death 4 years ago. Terms kept secret. So this happened because I was wondering which Disneyland it occurred at. It was the one in Anaheim because I wasn't sure if it was Disney World. But it is the one in Anaheim, California. Under the agreement, terms of the settlement will remain secret, and the attorneys and parties in the case are barred from discussing it, a court clerk said. Disneyland attorney Richard E. McCain of Santa Ana would not discuss the case except to say the morning's discussion had been fruitful. Richard L. Bowers, attorney for the Young family, could not be reached for comment. Disneyland spokesman Bob Roth said the lawsuit was settled to the satisfaction of the Walt Disney Company, but would not elaborate. The suit was filed by the victim's estranged husband, John L. Young of Campbell and her two adult sons, Derek and Dale. That is tragic accident. It's sad. According to court papers, the family had planned to introduce photographs of the victims and the bloody accident site in the trial and had sought permission from the judge to inspect the Matterhorn cars for safety defects. Belt unfastened. In legal filings, the Youngs had argued that Disneyland was negligent in the 48-year-old woman's death because its employees had failed to ensure that her seatbelt was properly fastened. Regina Young's seatbelt was found to be unfastened after the accident. Ross said that after the accident, the park had changed the type of seatbelts employed on the ride. He said the change had nothing to do with the case, but was prompted because the previous supplier of seatbelts had gone out of business. Before the accident, the park used belts that employed a friction fastener where you slide the belt through a buckle and the buckle closes on it, Roth said. The ride now uses the snap and buckle type of seatbelt, similar to those found in automobiles, he added. I haven't been on the Matterhorn in so long, so I don't even remember what the seat fasteners are. The Matterhorn, which opened in 1959, is a smaller version of the Swiss mountains of the same name. Laced inside and out by a roller coaster track, the ride seeks to simulate the sport of bobsledding and was conceived by the late Walt Disney, the park's founder, Ross said. The ride carries about 5 million people a year, Ross says, and has a terrific safety record. He said he could not recall any other injuries on the ride except for the death of a passenger in 1964. The man stood up while the ride was in motion and struck his head, Roth said. So that kind of gives you a little insight background to Dolly Dips, but I haven't been to Disneyland, I think, since it's been like 20 something odd years. So I don't even remember that ride, like the fasteners on that ride or anything. Anne goes, Disney is the one thing I wish I could have gone with my mom. Carol goes, I've never been to Disney. Delay Lux, I need over $1,000 to go to. Oh, true that, Delay Lux. It is super expensive. It's ridiculous. I think I remember the time tickets used to be $50. Now they're like 200 and something. Actually, or more. Wake Sheep Barry goes, they say Walt's head was cryogenically frozen. Elaine goes, dude, I love the Matterhorn. Chris goes, last time I was at Disney was 52 years ago. You beat me. I'm at 20 something years. Heather Whatever goes, I love Disneyland. It sounds pretty expensive, but someday soon, I hope. Chris goes, last time I was there, it was like the second year that Disney World opened. Wow. Matthew goes, last I was at Disney World was in the 80s when they had 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Disney World, I went when I was in 6th grade. So I was like 12. Delay Lux goes, Fast Pass is higher along with yes. Wake Shape Berry goes, Disney is a very political company right now. They are crazy. That's all I have to say with their prices and everything. Heather goes, I went 4 years ago, so I am not sure what fasteners they use on that ride because it's been that long for me. Terrana goes, I haven't been there in years. I can't even remember how long ago. Chris goes, kind of far away, and since I don't have kids, just never saw a reason to go. I'm kind of the same boat as you, mostly because it's too expensive to go. I'd rather go somewhere else. To be honest with you, I mean, if I've never gone, then I would go, of course, but I used to go for birthday parties and stuff like that when I was younger. Lisa Boo was there in 1982. Elaine goes, last time I was Disneyland, I was about 10 and won a Walkman. Wow. That's cool, though. So it's been quite some time for all of us. I'm not the only one. So not only is there Dolly Dips, who an ex-worker has claimed that she has never seen her, but she feels her presence, which I would feel like she would be there because she died tragically. Probably that teenager that passed in 1964 also may be lurking around the Matterhorn as well. But there's also one that they call Mr. One-Way Ghost. Wake Shapeberry goes, Disney just wrecked Doctor Who. Disney has wrecked a lot of things, Wake Shapeberry, not just Doctor Who. I'm not a fan of Doctor Who, but I totally understand your statement because they've wrecked other things. So this is from Snoop's Paranormal Disneyland Stories, The Mr. One-Way Ghost. Not all the ghosts at Disneyland are to be found within the confines of the Haunted Museum, as the previous article has said, because that's where you would think it would be. In June of 2021, TikTok user Clay Lacey, Officer Lackey, posted an installment of Paranormal Disneyland Stories describing appearances of a purported ghost at the Disneyland theme park. And I will play. Hopefully, this is one of them, and I'll play his TikTok. According to Lacey, a guest waiting in line for Space Mountain roller coaster struck up a conversation with a red-headed man who was nice enough but seemed a little odd because he wasn't up to date with all the recent changes Disneyland had made. Why this would make the red-headed man any more odd than any other Disneyland guest who hadn't visited the park in a while and therefore wasn't aware of recent changes remained unexplained in the video. The guest was seated next to the odd red-headed man on Space Mountain, and at the end of the ride, he noticed the red-headed man had disappeared from the ride car. Upon reporting his experience to a cast member, the guest was told no one else had been seated next to him in that car. This incident, Lacey explained, was a likely encounter with a ghost nicknamed Mr. One Way, whom people say interact with guests in line, rides with single riders, and even has appeared in the cast locker room. Surveillance footage even picked up strange images that might be evidence of Mr. One Way. The video stated presenting some images that didn't appear to clear up or evidence much of anything to our eyes. So I'm assuming this empty seat was where the Mr. One Way was supposed to be seated on the ride. So I'm assuming this is the gentleman that was talking to him and went on the ride with him, and then he had disappeared. And come to find out, he was on the ride by himself the whole entire time. Let me see if I can find. He does not have an account anymore. What? The guy gave up TikTok. I can't find it besides here, and I don't know what this is saying. Let's see.
Part 2. This one even has surveillance. One park guest went to ride Space Mountain by himself. He started making conversation with a red-headed stranger in line next to him. The man was nice, but appeared a little off because he wasn't really up to date with some of the recent changes Disneyland had made. They were seated on the ride next to each other, and the roller coaster started. The park guests enjoyed the ride, but at the end when the lights flashed, the red-headed man disappeared. He spoke with a cast member about it, and they told him he was the only one in that row. That guest might have just had an encounter with a ghost nicknamed Mr. One Way. People say he interacts with guests in the line, rides with single riders, and even has appearances in the cast locker room. Surveillance footage even picked up some strange images that might be evidence of Mr. One Way.
So that is Mr. One Way. Heather, whatever goes, that could change my Disneyland experience. I'm the ghost and Mrs. Chicken. I do know that they remodeled Space Mountain, so I'm wondering if he's still there. He's probably like, what the hell happened to my ride? Elaine goes, that's creepy. Carol goes, I'd like to go to the Wolf Lodge and amusement park in Vermont. Oh, I would love to go to the Wolf Lodge. I'm with you, Carol. Heather, whatever goes, I didn't see anything. I didn't even see the bar go down. It's just an empty seat. That's what I saw. Heather, whatever goes, he jumps off to play along the way. So I'm wondering if people still see him because they did remodel Space Mountain recently. That is the one I kind of stay away from. I don't like roller coasters. So if anyone listening out there has gone on it recently and felt something spooky, please let us know. Inquiring minds want to know. Chris Barr goes, there's a Wolf Lodge in India. I know there's one here too. I think it's in the next county over, if I'm not mistaken. So we also have the ghost of Disneyland, but this is the ghost of Disney World, I believe. So it gives us a little No, actually this one looks like the one in Anaheim. So it kind of gives us some other ghosts and also explains some of the ghosts, Dolly's Dip and Mr. One Way, because that's part of the ghosts. Dusty, how's it going? Might be Heather, whatever. It might be San Bernardino or it might be Orange County. I'm not sure. So this is from Lost Weekenders. It's the Ghost of Disneyland. I thought this was Disney World's ghost, but it looks like this is the Anaheim. Yeah, this one looks like the Disneyland in Anaheim. And obviously this was written around Halloween. So it goes, Halloween is right around the corner, and this is the season for exploring haunted houses, listening to whispers. Hold on, guys. Give me a second. Make that a little bigger. The fine print there. Listening for whispers in the dark and telling ghost stories. Even the happiest place on earth has its fair share of ghostly legends, and we're not just talking about the Haunted Mansion. The Main Street Firehouse. Above the firehouse in Town Square, to the right of City Hall, Walt Disney built a personal apartment to oversee the building of Disneyland for personal use when he was in town. To let guests and cast members know that he was in the park, Walt would light a lamp in the firehouse window. There are several legends surrounding the lamp after Walt's death. Most involve a cast member turning the lamp off only to return and find it inexplicably lit again. Sometimes they say the lamp will have been turned off multiple times only to relit every time the cast member's back is turned. Eventually, cast members got the picture. The light is now left burning, a symbol of Walt's eternal presence in Disneyland. Heather, whatever, I did mean Wolf Lodge. You know what? Hold on, give me a second. Let's see where it is. It's in Garden Grove. Garden Grove. The Rivers of America. In the 70s, two brothers hid on Tom Sawyer Island, park closing. To get off the island and to avoid cast members, they may still be walking the park. They decided to swim across the rivers of America. The older brother swam across, towing his younger brother behind. For unknown reasons, he could not make it the entire way across and drowned in the river. The younger brother managed to survive and was found by a cast member. It took until the next morning to find the body of the older brother. To this day, cast members have mentioned feeling an eerie presence, seeing unexplained ripples in the water, and even an apparition around the rivers of America. Perhaps the ghost of the drowned older brother. Wake shaped bear, I am not sure. I have not heard of that. The lady in white. There is always a lady in white in pretty much any ghost story we read. Stories have been told of several shops on Main Street, USA, being haunted. Cast members and guests have reported seeing a woman dressed in white 19th century dress walking the streets after dark. Could she be a woman who died on the property before Disneyland was built? I would think so, because Disneyland was built in the 50s, or it opened up in the 50s, and it was built in the 50s. So to have someone walking in a 19th century dress is kind of strange. The Matterhorn, we had spoken about this. It's the Dolly Dip, but we can say it again. The Matterhorn has a bloody history. At least 2 deaths have been reported on the ride, not to mention several injuries. One Disney legend tells of a woman named Dolly who died on the Matterhorn, thrown from her bobsled because her seatbelt was unbuckled. They say this woman haunts the track of the Matterhorn, sometimes manifesting as a ghostly figure. Cast members have reported feeling eyes on them, cold spots, and hearing whispers while walking the tracks at night. The Weeping Boy, the Haunted Mansion. I'm not sure if it's still under construction because I know they were remodeling it, so I'm not sure if it's opened yet to the public. But if this is true, the Weeping Boy is having his world turned upside down with the construction. The Haunted Mansion has 999 happy haunts and possibly one unhappy one, according to some. A Disneyland guest once wanted to spread her son's ashes in the Haunted Museum ride, but was not given permission by the park. Undeterred, she spread the ashes in the ride anyway. Since that night, the ghost of a small boy is often seen at the exit of the Haunted Mansion crying. Like, why would she do that? I mean, it makes me sad because they're seeing a ghost of a small boy crying. That makes me sad. It's like he's looking for his mom. I have never seen it. This is because the Haunted Mansion is one of my favorite rides. I had never seen the Ghost Boy, but I have, like I said, and as most of you, I have not been there in years, so I am not sure. Chris Berger goes, he's probably spinning in his grave, seeing what Iger has done to his legacy. I think there's more than one person spinning in their graves, Chris. Heather, whatever goes, it was orange groves before Disneyland. So maybe it was someone that owned the land that had passed away in the land. The monorail man. During grad night in the 60s, a young man tried to sneak into the park via the monorail. A cast member spotted him, and the young man took off running down the tracks. Unfortunately, he was struck and killed by an oncoming monorail train. Rumors have circulated that the young man could be seen at night running along the monorail tracks, only to vanish without a trace. Oh, that is sad. And last but not least, it is the Mr. One Way Man. He is probably, like I said, they renovated Space Mountain, but he's probably, maybe he's more active since they renovated it. I don't know. One ghost at Disneyland has earned a nickname. Mr. One Way is frequently seen on Space Mountain, described by many as a large man with red hair and a red face. According to rumor, it is the ghost of a man who died on the ride in the 70s. He is usually reported taking a seat next to single riders only to disappear by the end of the ride. So, note to self, guys, if you guys are a fan of Space Mountain and you go to Disneyland, take the ride by yourself to see if Mr. One Way appears. You don't have to ride the Haunted Mansion for ghoulish experiences. It turns out there may be happy or not so happy haunts all over the park. Makes you think differently about the park. There's a lot of tragedies that happen there. Heather, whatever goes, you do it. I'm not a fan of roller coasters. I would go on that ride, but it wasn't my favorite ride. Like my favorite rides were like the Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, Indiana Jones. I went on once. Captain EO, if you guys remember Captain EO way back in the day, I used to go to that. Used to love seeing Star Tours. Loved Star Tours. Chris Barber goes, what about Knoxbury Farm? You know what? I'm going to look at that next, Chris. Thank you for the idea. I'm going to see with Magic Mountain and Knoxbury Farm next. That's a good idea. But it makes me look at Disneyland different. Like the happiest place on earth had a few tragedies. All right, here's the Disney World ghost stories. Wake Shapeberry goes, I used to love roller coasters. I always hated roller coasters. I don't know how when we went to Magic Mountain, if you guys are familiar with Magic Mountain, I don't know how my friend got me on the Ninja. The whole time I was holding on, I was like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm not kidding you. I've seen that throughout the whole ride. And when I got off, I did not die. I did not die. I was literally never again. And I never went back on that ride ever again after that. I like to drive fast. If I'm controlling it, I just don't like being in something that someone else is controlling. That makes any sense. Destiny goes, I've never been to Disneyland, only Disney World. I feel like Disney World, Disneyland in Anaheim is just like a portion of Disney World. Like Disney World is Disneyland on steroids. Chris loves roller coaster. Oh, even when I went on Jurassic Park at Universal Studios, oh my god, I felt like I was gonna come out of the car. I was dying. I was like that. That was my look, probably going all the way down. And you know how some of those rides they take a picture of you before you go down. I was probably like. Wake Shapeberry goes, I lost my battle for roller coasters. I could do Pirates of the Caribbean. I could do Matterhorn, believe it or not. Matterhorn wasn't that bad for me. Pirates wasn't that bad. I liked Autotopia too, where you drive the cars. Oh, I used to do that all the time too. But, I swear, every one of those pictures is probably me going like, like that. Wake Shapeberry goes, bottle means courage. Okay. I've lost my bottle for roller coasters. I never had a bottle for roller coasters to begin with. I never liked them. Even the water ones. Oh, I think the log ride I was able to do. If if it's not super bad, I'm fine. It's just Space Mountain speed was just where that's why the other theme parks aren't good for me because roller coasters. So these are, I'm hoping it says Disney World ghost stories. So these are ghost stories from Disney World. So this is Disney World enthusiast. Obviously, this came out in 2015, but around Halloween as always because that's when all the ghost stories come out. Disney World Ghost Stories. In honor of Halloween, I thought it would be interesting to take a look at some of the Disney World ghost stories that are out there. Could the most magical place on earth actually be haunted, you ask? Well, it depends on who you talk to, what you read, and your own personal beliefs in that sort of thing. I would consider myself an open minded skeptic. In other words, I think anything is possible, but I believe most of the sightings are probably more urban legend than reality. In all of the years that I have been visiting Walt Disney World, I have only once experienced anything unusual, which I will share with you in a bit. First, let's take a look at a few of the Disney World ghost stories, some famous and some lesser known. Now, as we all know, no one dies at Disney World. It has long been reported that no one is pronounced dead until their body has actually been removed from the property. So, who are all these ghosts said to be roaming the resort? Good question. Oh, really? They don't. So, no one's reported dead until they leave. They're removed from the property? Wow. Pirates of the Caribbean. So this is George. This tale is probably the most well known of all the ghost stories of Disney World. As the story goes, a young construction worker named George fell to his death while working on a high area of the Pirates building. Each day, cast members say good morning and good night to George over the PA system, and if they don't give him the respect he desires, it is sure to make a long day for them. This ghost is known to cause all sorts of mischief, such as shutting down the ride, causing breakdowns, making phone calls from an empty control room, and appearing on the ride monitors. Many guests have reported feeling a mysterious chill, especially in the room with the burning city, where it is believed George fell to his death. His favorite hangouts are rumored to be near the pirate with the pigs, under the bridge of the pirate with his leg hanging over, and near the door, known as George's door. By the dog with the keys, word of warning about George. There have been reports of guests going on Pirates of the Caribbean shouting that they don't believe in George and have later found themselves stuck on the attraction for a long period of time due to breakdown. So I guess note to self, don't say you don't believe in George or you'll be stuck on the ride. Chris Barr goes, they may not be reported, but they could still die before leaving the park. Wink Shave Barry goes, you're not dead until removed from the property. The ladies, there's another pair of apparitions that are said to call Pirates of the Caribbean home, and they are known as the ladies. This mysterious duo is rumored to have met their untimely demise when the boat they were riding in came off the track at the bottom of the drop and crashed as they sat in the front row. It is believed that they still linger in the area to this day and can sometimes be felt with a cold chill. Haunted Mansion, Man with a Cave. In this tale, many cast members working alone have said that they have seen a man with the cane riding the attraction late at night. When spoken to, he does not respond and then disappears out of sight. Who is this mysterious man? He is said to be the ghost of a pilot that died when his plane crashed in the 1940s into what is now known as Bay Lake. Little Boy, another spirit that is rumored to inhabit the Haunted Mansion, is that of a little boy. Unlike the Disneyland ghost stories of the little boy who cries while looking for his mother, this child appears to be unhappy and just rides the attraction alone, peering. I was like, peeing? I was like, what? Peering out from his doom buggy. There are a few photos circulating the internet that are said to be of this particular apparition. Okay, inquiring minds want to know. It goes, sorry, the perimeters you have provided are not valid, so I cannot find photos circulating. Main Street, USA. Several guests have reported seeing the ghost of Roy Disney on Main Street during wishes, smiling and seeming to be thoroughly enjoying himself. Tom Sawyer's Island. Give me a second, guys. For years, guests that venture over to Tom Sawyer's Island have reported getting an unnerving feeling and seeing shadowy figures in the tunnels and caves of the attraction. Spaceship Earth. The ghost story tells the tale of a little girl with long blonde hair and a young boy that are often seen playing together in front of the attraction as well as riding together. Impressions de France. Many cast members have reported seeing a figure late at night in the theater after it is closed. When they approach to escort him out, the apparition appears. Escort him out, the apparition disappears. I went there. I went to Disney World. I think I was 12, so it's been a while. When I was there, I didn't feel anything. Towers of Terror. In this story, the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror is said to be haunted by a former bellhop cast member that died during a shift on one of the loading platforms. The story goes that this bellhop ghost is known to appear on platform D, flickered lights, and freeze the attraction when cast members are trying to do their final ride through at the end of the day. My experience. So the person that wrote this article, does it say? It does not say. So my experience. So this person who wrote this article actually had an experience. As I said at the beginning of this post, I consider myself an open-minded skeptic, despite the fact that I have visited, lived in, stayed in, and dined in places that have been deemed haunted by some of the country's most respected ghost hunters. I've yet to experience anything that I can say without a doubt was supernatural. I'm actually quite scared of the paranormal, so maybe that's the reason I never really feel or see anything that I would claim as beyond our reality. However, not long ago, I had an unusual experience at the Haunted Mansion. On a solo trip I took earlier this year, I headed over to Magic Kingdom on a day with an early morning extra magic hours. I arrived 30 minutes before the park was to open to find that the crowds were very light. I knew that once the park opened, I would easily be able to walk on any ride that I wanted. I decided that I would make my way to Big Thunder with a quick stop in Haunted Mansion first. When the gates opened, I strolled down Main Street, taking in the sights just as the sun started to rise. Most of the guests walked toward the castle on their way to mine train or an important meeting with the princess, I would guess, while few others hurried to Tomorrowland. I found myself completely alone as I meandered toward Liberty Square. It was a strange feeling for it to be so quiet in the park during the day. My kids and I have been in Adventureland at night when we were the only guests in sight before, but the daytime isolation has a very eerie feeling about it. In no time, I arrived at my destination, the Haunted Mansion. As a child, I was absolutely terrified of this attraction, and to be honest, I was probably a teenager before I really felt comfortable expressing it. Now, it is one of my favorites, and I look forward to riding several times during each of my trips. On this particular day, it would be my first time experiencing the attraction alone. As I approached Haunted Mansion, I noticed that no one was in line. There was a cast member out front, and she waved me on through to the entrance. Once inside, it was so early, the doors were open through the stretching room to the loading area. I slowly walked in, unsure of whether to bypass the pre-show and headed straight for the doom buggies or not. After a couple of moments of standing alone, I left the stretching room and made my way directly to the loading area. The cast member waved me into the doom buggy and said that I was the first happy haunt of the day. I climbed in with no one else in sight except for me and the cast member. I sat back to relax, enjoy the attraction as my doom buggy began to creep down the first long hallway. A few seconds later, as I'm looking ahead at the backs of the empty doom buggies ahead of me, I see what looks to be the face of a little boy peering out of his ride vehicle back at me. I nearly jumped out of my seat because I thought that I was the first rider of the day and that I was alone. I quickly I quickly calmed down, rationalizing that the cast member that boarded me must have been confused that there was a family ahead on the attraction before me. I went about my ride, not giving the little boy any further thought as I enjoyed the grim, grinning ghosts around me until I reached the end. As I climbed out of my dune buggy, the cast member, as I exited, said that he hoped that I had enjoyed being the first happy haunt of the day. Startled by his comment, I quickly asked him if he was sure and that didn't someone just get off the ride a few cars before me. He said, no, I was definitely first, and that if I wanted to stay, I just needed to bring my death certificate next time. Spooky, huh? That's crazy. So he or she obviously experienced the ghost of the little boy riding the doom buggies. Jet baby teeth Neptune, what's up? Wake Shape Barry goes Haunted Mansion, not a great movie with Eddie Murphy. I don't think I've ever seen that one, to be honest with you. Daniel! Daniel goes, hello, Lisa, and everyone in the chat. Yard work is a thing. Was trying to wait until you were done. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate that. Matthew goes, I saw it and I liked it. I haven't even seen the new one. I don't know, something about Disney films I kind of stay away from as of late. So, my next one is Disney cast members reveal the most haunted locations. It might repeat because it was kind of hard. Heather, whatever goes, I just saw Avatar 2 with my middle son and his girlfriend. It was great. Oh, you know what? To be honest with you, I haven't seen the first one. It never appealed to me, so I never wanted to watch it. Maybe one day. So Disneyland cast members revealed the most haunted locations. While Disneyland is often seen as a magical and friendly place, many Disney cast members have confirmed that ghosts are lurking around every corner of the park, and they have identified the most haunted locations. I'm not sure. It says Disneyland Resort, so I'm assuming Anaheim, California. Known as the happiest place on earth, Disneyland is one of the most popular tourist destinations in the world. Now it kind of makes me want to work at Disneyland just to see if it's haunted, but they won't like me because I'm tattooed and pierced. I heard they're very strict when it comes to that. And then I've heard some horror stories about working there too. Known as the happiest place on earth, Disneyland is one of the most popular tourist destinations in the world. Home to some of the greatest attractions in the amusement park industry, including Star Wars Galaxy Edge, Pirates of the Caribbean, Space Mountain, and the Haunted Mansion, Disneyland Resort is the perfect place to just be joyful and forget about your woes. Well, true. That's why we go to the movies or we go to any theme park. It's to forget about everyday life and escape for a bit. However, this Disney park also has its dark side. While most guests just hear jaunty Irving Berlin tunes and ride through some of their favorite Disney movies, cast members get to see an indescribable side of the park. This is because Disneyland seems to have a connection to the great beyond. Cast members say 80% of Disneyland Resort is haunted. Recently, a fan created a thread on the Disneyland Reddit page regarding the personal scariest moments at Disneyland Resort. Ooh, I'm definitely going to check that out. Eventually, a Disney cast member spoke about the spooky happenings that occurred after hours. 80% of Disneyland is haunted with some sort of background story to each part of the park, but with only about 50% of cast members having an experience there. This was immediately supported by a former cast member saying it was fact. Naturally, this intrigued people who haven't worked at the park, so cast members shared some of the spookiest locations they can think of. And oddly enough, none of them involved the haunted mansion. Daniel goes, mohawks and tats are getting popular at the workplace. Yes, they are. I think Heather, whatever. I think they might have changed it if I'm not mistaken, but it can't be visible. But I know they have a thing about piercings still. But before, I know way back in the day, I know they revised it, but I know way back in the day you couldn't have any piercings or tattoos to work there. But I think now it's the same as LAPD, where you can't have any visible tattoos. But I know they have a thing about piercings, and I've got a crap load in my ear, so that ain't gonna work. And I have plugs, so that's really not gonna work. Daniel goes, only in record shops you would see people dressed like that. Now it's a common thing. Yes, it is. Or even when you would go to rock concerts, that's when you would see all the people, let loose and show all their tats and their piercings. But very true, Daniel. Now it's like you could walk down the street and you see it's normal. Even when you go into retail establishment, it's like normal now to see employees with tats and piercings. So this Toontown, the very first place identified as haunted was Toontown. The basement of Mickey's house in Toontown is not where you want to be alone. I've personally seen trash cans moved when I'm the only one there. I've seen reflections of figures in the mirror over my shoulder. Some cast members have even said they heard demonic voices there. What? While this may seem surprising to some, guests since the area they put sense as SINCE. The area is one of the brightest and most cheerful lands in the park. Another commenter wasn't surprised seeing, man, demons would hang out in Toontown. When you realize it was based initially on Who Framed Robert Rabbit, one of Disney's most frightening movies, it makes sense. Who Framed Roger Rabbit was not frightening. But why would there be demonic voices, I wonder? Huh. I mean, I know Heather, whatever it said that it was an orange orchard. But I'm not sure what else had happened there. So Disney California Adventure. Despite only being founded in 2001, I have never been to California Adventure. I think it wasn't even the last time I went. I don't even think it was in existence yet. Disney, so you're was founded in 2001, so you can kind of do the math there. Disney California Adventure still has its fair share of specters. In fact, cast members identified 2 spots where paranormal activity had been reported. I've read freaky posts about a ghost in the locker room at Disney California Adventure, said one cast member. And now I get the chills every time I go in there. So I've stopped storing stuff in those lockers and just carry my things when I'm in the park or in that park. Another cast members mentioned that near the Disney California Adventure Park entrance on Buena Vista Street, there's a little girl ghost that likes to play around in the stores. This reflects a statement made to the San Francisco gate. I heard the stockroom door open and close, but there was no one there. Then I heard a loud crash. One of the items in the stockroom broke by itself. There was no way it could have fallen off the shelf. It was empty in the park and no one else was in the store with me. It definitely spooked me. Splash Mountain, which is now, I don't think they reopened it yet because they closed it because they're making it to go with one of the animation films. I forgot which one. They're changing Splash Mountain into like something Bayou, or if I don't know exactly. There you go. The final spot people talk about was at Splash Mountain, soon to be Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I was close. An anonymous source says their husband is working construction on the ride and it isn't going down without a fight. They have tools that go missing and are found randomly in hard to get areas. They can be pulling wire from the wall and it feels like someone is pulling back. They even had fires and a small explosion happened. Definitely looking forward to Tiana's Bayou Adventure opening and to hear more spooky stories. While many will see this as justification that the ride should have stayed as Splash Mountain, we just hope that the construction workers remain safe since they're just doing a job. I think it's going to still be like Splash Mountain, but with Tiana Bayou, with the Tiana Bayou theme. Disneyland has even more spectral happenings. While there were all the moments spoken about in the Reddit thread, there are still plenty of rumors and stories about haunted moments at Disneyland Resort. There are reports of Walt Disney taking an after-hour train ride or even talks of him smoking in a stairwell. Others believe that past deaths at the park have resulted in the spirits remaining inside the attractions where they had died. Every Disney park has a history behind it, especially Disneyland. This isn't just a physical history like old drawings or pieces of a ride, but a spiritual history that can be felt by guests whenever they enter the happiest place on earth. It's just a question of whether it's a wave of nostalgia or a ghost wishing that you have a zip of a doodah day. Ha! Dusty goes, when I worked at our local movie theater, we could wear our piercings because someone lost their earring in the popcorn and a customer found it. I know with food, they're very particular about it. Heather, whatever goes, the ghost of my money crying out. So I guess it had mentioned a Reddit thread. Oh no, this article's making me pay. Forget that. All right, so I found a Reddit, and someone was asking, "Are there any good ghost stories from around Disneyland?" Wink Sheafberry goes, Lisa, have you covered the Hollywood sign scary? Yes, I have, Wink Sheafberry. I did talk about her, but I did talk about her. I think her name was Elizabeth. Daniel goes, I've only been to Disneyland when I was 4 years old. I don't remember anything. I did Wink Sheafberry, and I also talked about the curse of Griffith Park and that area. About what happened. And that everybody that tried to build on that land, something happened. Tragically happened. I did talk about the Hollywood sign, but it wasn't like a main video about it, but it's trickled into what I'm not sure what video it's in. I'm sorry, but I did. So this person's asking, are there any good ghost stories from around Disneyland? We had already talked about Mr. One Way. This one goes, there are stories of a helpful ghost in Tomorrowland. Back in the day, a girl was killed in the rotating theater. I think her name was Debbie, but I'm not 100% sure. When they turned it into innovations, the CMs would report that if there was anything even remotely unsafe, like a door being left open, it would just close by itself. Or if a chair was left in the walkway, it would be pushed back to the desk on its own. Supposedly, every new cast member would write a message to her on the wall of the basement when they first started. So there was also another so of the person, I'll come back to that, of the person that they had just explained. Here's a more in-depth Dusty goes, "Where is Leonore today? I think she used to work at Disneyland. Wonder if she had an experience." I'm not sure. She said she was going to try to make it, so she's probably going to catch us on the replay. So this is the death of Deborah Gale Stone at Disneyland's America Sing attraction. The true story went viral on TikTok 47 years to the day. A hostess named Deborah Gale Stone working the America Sings attraction was crushed to death by a rotating wall. On July 8th of 1974, a woman named Deborah Gale Stone was killed when she became caught between a rotating wall and a stationary one at Disneyland's Park America Sings attraction. Before the incident, Deborah Gale Stone's death happened a little more than a week after the America Sings attraction reopened at Disneyland in 1974 in the Carousel of Progress Theater, which I don't think is there anymore. The Carousel of Progress had been shut down and its animatronic working shipped to Florida's Walt Disney World Resort in 1973. The Disneyland attraction was then revamped and debuted on June 29th, 1974 as America Sings. Like its predecessor, the attraction featured an outer ring of 6 seating areas that rotated around a stationary centered housing multiple stages. Doesn't that sound like a disaster waiting to happen? That really does. July 8th of 1974, Deborah Gale Stone was an 18-year-old Santa Ana woman standing at about 5'2". She was working the America Sing attraction as a hostess. Her job was to greet each new audiences as they settled into the seating area. Standing to the left of the stage, Stone welcomed the Disneyland guest over a microphone before the outer ring rotated and carried the audience to the first scene of the carousel. About 11 p.m. that evening, Stone approached too closely to the area between the rotating theater wall and the non-moving stage wall and was crushed to death between them. Oh. On July 10th of 1974, the LA Times reported that she died at 11 p.m. during a 45-second interval when the audience had left her theater and it was moving into position to start a new cycle. Daniel Robinson, 33, a member of the Air Force from Castle Air Force Base near Merced, was sitting with his family in the front row of an adjoining theater. He told investigators he looked to his right, saw what he thought was a child being pulled between the platform and wall, and heard a scream. When the platform stopped, he said he notified operators. The Times also published that Stone was the first employee to be killed in an incident in Disneyland during its 19-year history. However, at the time, the newspaper said that 4 visitors had died in the park in other accidents. Immediately after Stone's death at Disneyland, America Sing was closed for 2 days while a safety light that alerted the attraction operator whenever someone got too close to the danger area was installed. Eventually, the solid walls were replaced with breakaway ones to prevent similar accidents from occurring. So I guess there's a TikTok video about it that went viral. In some, it's true that Deborah Gale Stone died at Disney at the American Sings attraction in 1974. For anyone, that is sad. And she was very young. Nerd Report's going, many people are MIA from our channels nowadays. Thanks for being here. If you are, yes, thank you guys. I do appreciate it. I know Leonore comes on the replay because she always comments. Sabrina, how's it going? But that is a terrible tragedy. She was only 18. Just imagine you're working, and that attraction just seemed like it was an accident ready to happen, and it was just sad that she had to lose her life for them to do something about it. And I know that I have never gone to that, when so I'm assuming they closed it down after a while because I've never heard of it. So it's very sad, super sad. So the next person goes, ask any cast member, they'll happily tell you ghost stories. So I guess next time anyone goes to Disneyland, ask a cast member if they've had a paranormal experience and see what happens. It's all we do backstage. My personal favorite is all the crazy stuff that happens in the basement of Mickey's house. Creepy voices, shadows in the mirror behind you, and things moving like trash cans when you're the only one there. Then someone commented, this one, the doors don't have locks, but I've been locked inside rooms in the house. Doors have opened and closed without anyone actually coming through. I'd argue the house is the most haunted location in the park. Someone also commented saying Candy Palace in the old Invention building is not somewhere you want to be alone in. And then another person goes, can confirm Candy is haunted to the max, but mostly affects female cast members. Nerd Report is that saying maybe you should start faking hauntings. People love to be BS. You know what? I'm beginning to think that because I see. I'm gonna go on a little rant here, but I did a topic before this big YouTuber did, and I did it a while ago, and of course she gets a gazillion views. Well, I don't, but she's been in it longer than I have, so I agree. But a lot of these people, um, they do fake the stuff that they put on YouTube just so they could get views, and it seems like sometimes I've been, to be honest with you guys, I've been frustrated lately because I've been super frustrated since Nerd Report mentioned that. I've been frustrated lately with how things are going. And I try and I try and I try and I'm getting frustrated. And sometimes it's a point where it's like you put in the work, but you don't get the outcome to it sometimes. So it gets frustrating. But then I see these people that do fake things or they add stuff into their videos. And I mean, I get it. People want to look at, I get why they do it. I get it. I totally understand. I totally understand because people aren't going to watch unless something's happening. I could go through a building and nothing happens, but someone could go through the same building and add all this stuff into it or had an experience, maybe not necessarily saying that the building isn't haunted because I believe places are haunted. They just might not be haunted when you go there. It may not happen all the time. You can even ask Doof Paranormal, who's gone through, she's been through the Washoe Club a million times and never had an experience. And I've seen other people go through the Washoe Club, and they have all these experiences. So, I mean, Heather, whatever goes, you will. Elaine goes, it's okay, Lisa, we are here for you. Guys, as always, Skeleduck, I forgot to say he's somewhere around this, my background. Just remind me, and I'll reveal him before I end the stream. Just remind me because I will forget. My old age, I'm forgetting. Daniel goes, it depends on what energy you have when you go. True. I agree, but sometimes though I've heard because I've never actually done an investigation, like a full-blown investigation, but what I've heard is it's not going to be like Ghost Adventures or Project Fear or Sam and Colby or whoever else I can think of, Paranormal Files, a million, Franco's Adventures, but I like him. I actually like Franco's Adventures, but it's not going to be like him, like them, where every time they go to a haunted place, you're going to find something, which I know you're not. It's not. I've heard from people, I've read that it's kind of boring. It's not what you see in Ghost Adventures. It's not what you see in Sam and Colby or Project Fear or, Paranormal Files or whatnot. It might be there. Sabrina goes, Lisa, we need to do some investigations. Throw an investigation once a week or once a month. Maybe I will do that, Sabrina. But I get it. I understand why these channels do it. I get it. I totally understand. I know why Ghost Adventures does it. I know why because their survival on network television is based on ratings. So I totally understand. It's anywhere you go. I totally get it. I understand. I don't fault them for doing what they're doing. Any of them. But I get what Nerd Report is saying too. It's like, sometimes when you're trying to be truthful and you're trying to be informative and you're trying to be trying to make it fun and trying to be like informative, like trying to get the information out there. Sometimes people just bat an eye and look the other way. You know what I mean? Wake Shaper goes, I'd love to see you do an investigation. Rave United, what's up? Most are sellouts or show. Yes, they do that too. Yes, I agree. But yeah, I've been No, it's true. They do. They'll put it on their cover photo. Or sometimes there's people out there and they just talk random stuff and you could tell that they're full of, shit. You know what I mean? You can. But people watch them. Like, I don't get it. You know what I mean? So that's why I always try to support that independent YouTuber out there that's out there taking their time to go on there, that doesn't get a lot of views, because there's a lot of us out there that work hard, that spend our time looking for topics that don't get, you know, we try to shine, but sometimes it gets frustrating. Sabrina goes, I'm in SoCal. I'm down to do some ghost hunting. I miss doing it. Wake Steve Barry goes, Zach Bagans is full of shit. They all are, to be honest with you. All the network television. I mean, Project Fear is now on YouTube, but they used to be Destination Fear, which was on network television. So, like, they were able to they had the golden spoon from the get go. You know what I mean? They already had the following because they were on network television. Heather Whatever, you will slowly build the real but kind of freaky channel. That is what I'm trying to do, Heather Whatever. Chris Barr goes, I don't get why a lot of YouTubers are so famous. I agree, because some of them I watch and they bore me. Elaine goes, the ones that piss me off the most is when they talk online while putting on their makeup. Oh, I know what you mean, Elaine. It's the get ready with me, right? So be honest with you, I've been kind of frustrated with it lately, but I'm still trugging on, so don't worry, guys. I don't go down without a fight. I never let anything stop me. Even with anxiety, I've never let anything stop me. If somebody wanted me to go on a roller coaster, I will go on a roller coaster, and that's how I am. I just, even though I hate roller coasters, if somebody wanted me to go on it with them, I will go on it with them. Even though I'm going to be dying the whole way, but that's okay. But that's just the way I am. I don't give up. But like I said, I get why all those channels do it. I understand. And not to say that the places that they go to, that's why I don't mind watching them, because I like to look in the history of the places that they go to, and then that's where I go. It's not necessarily that the place that they go to is not haunted. It just, but Lisa Boo goes, never give up. I feel sorry for some of these smaller channels that I see that it doesn't, it takes a lot of work. You don't, I know some channels have like a crew to help them. Like I don't have anybody helping me. I do this all on my own. I might have a few of you like giving me ideas, which I don't mind. I'm open to ideas. You guys want to see something, you want me to talk about something, send it to me. Like today's topic, Leonore sent it to me. So I mean, but it takes a lot of planning to get on here. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to talk about half the time, but I find it and I look things up. But it's even when you're talking about like music or anything, it when people come on here, it takes a lot of planning when they come on here. So I feel sorry for some of these small channels. I really do, because it's a lot of work. Or you spend 2 hours editing a video and no one sees it. You know what I mean? I totally understand it. I've seen those videos on YouTube. Heather Whatever goes, you do it really well. Thank you, Heather Whatever. I appreciate that. But this is my passion. I love hauntings. I love ghosts. I love spooky things. I love horror. I always have. Um, Heck, I'll talk about bugs. I don't care. I have. You know what I mean? Whatever comes across, I will talk about. Wake Shape Berry, I'd like to prop. Sometimes too, Wake Shape Berry, though, you got to get permission from some of these places to do investigations. So that's where some places aren't open to it. And I know those bigger ghost hunting shows, they probably pay those people to investigate the hotel or whatever it may be. So it's going to be a little tricky to do something because, like with anything, it costs money a lot of times, which I don't have right now. So I'm doing the best I can. But yeah, I did, Chris, because someone asked, someone in the chat last stream had asked about potato bugs, and I was talking about the spider that's in my room. Some people find bugs scary. Thank you, Tyrana. Thank you, Lisa Boo, for your super chat. We love you, Lisa. You are appreciated and loved. Thank you, Lisa Boo. I appreciate that. Hearts for Lisa Boo. Thank you, Tyrana, as well. I appreciate that. You do a really great job. Elaine goes, loving why you do is 75% of the battle. It is. But like I said, if you guys have a topic you want me to talk about it, feel free to if you're on my Telegram, if you're a friend of me on my socials, send it to me. I'm open to ideas. And I felt like today's topic was a great idea. I'm not a Disney person, so I would have never thought about it. And I know I've talked about it like very little about it, but I never went in depth. So it was like I never heard of Dolly's Dip. So Wake Sheep Bear goes, do it gorilla style. But all right, back to the spooky wookie. I'll read a few more Reddits and we'll open it up for questions. But that's kind of who I am. I like to be honest and open with you guys. So but that's who I am. And I like to give you like true honest things about things. I may not, because I'm only going off articles. Maybe sometimes the articles may not be 100% true, but I try to give you stuff. I try to give you information and stuff that's true, not something that's just out the back of my mind. Dusty goes, rodents creep me out. See, rodents. You know what I mean? I'll talk about rodents. I don't care. I think rodents are cool, so they don't scare me. Clowns don't scare me, but I know clowns scare some people. But because of an experience they had when they're a kid, totally understandable. I never had a bad experience with clowns, but it's cool seeing a person around clowns when they don't like clowns, because I know Horror Nights with Universal Studios, they usually have clowns with chainsaws chasing you around. which is the best. I agree with you, Heather, whatever, I don't like them in my house. That's the one thing. I can live in harmony. If they were my pet, I'm fine with that. But I feel bad when I have to trap a mouse, but sometimes that's what you have to do to get them out of your house. But if I could do it any other way, I would do it any other way to get them out of the house. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Chris Barber goes, it's called integrity. I don't care for people without integrity. Wake Shapeberry goes, I don't mind rodents. I had rats and mice as pets when I was growing up, so I don't mind them at all. But I just don't like them in my house. In fact, I had a rat infestation one time because I should fix that. But whenever in the summertime, if I leave my sliding glass door open to my room, there's a like the screen doesn't fit perfectly. So there's an opening so they get in. And they were doing construction because I have a hill behind my house. So they were doing construction. So all the mice and rats were coming this way. And I ended up having a whole infestation of them in my room, including babies. Matthew's going, funny Killer Clowns from Outer Space was released on this day in 1988. Heather, whatever goes, yes, because yes, they carry disease. I don't know what they're carrying, so I don't want them in my house. The next one is where I'll read a few more of these Reddits because these are kind of interesting, and then we'll open it. I'll open it up. I'll open it up to open topics and questions and all that. I agree, Carol. People are very unpredictable. That's why they are scary. I totally agree. Sometimes I would rather deal with the spiritual world than with actual people because yes, I agree with you on that one. Well, they're both the same. You don't know how spirits are going to act either. So this poster, Red Atomic goes, the Emporium, cast members, myself included, have experienced our names being called, only for no one to be present when we looked around. I've had that happen in my own house, where I think the last time I had it happen, I was sitting on the couch. This was years ago, and it sounded clear as day, someone calling out my name. Custodial have reported hearing noises and seeing figures when they're closing late at night. I feel like the only way you would experience something at Disneyland is if there's hardly anybody around, like with that one that went on the Haunted Mansion, and she was the first one on the ride, and he or she had the experience, and then it seems like mostly cast members after closing are having issues. The Candy Palace, which I have no idea where it is. The basement is notoriously haunted. During my time there as a stalker, I've heard noises when I was completely alone. Stuff have also fallen from the shelves. Cast members on stage have reported being touched or having their clothes pulled on. The Disneyland Hotel, one cast bathroom, has a flickering problem with the lights and also allegedly has a shadow man that will chase you out. People have straight up quit their jobs after being chased out of this bathroom. What? The entry poster tunnel closest to City Hall. On some occasions, you could smell cigar smoke despite smoking being banned in company property. This is an indication of Walt's spirit being present. Cast member friends have said it's not the rides that are creepy at night, but when they had to clean up Main Street and the open areas after hours, they would hear random people talking, sounds from attractions completely shut down, and just an insecure feeling of being watched. This would happen while they were working in groups as well. So another person saying that the Emporium and Candy Palace. So they're saying, so those are definitely the two places you want to go. Someone says I rode the Omni Mover ride in New Orleans Square once and a ghost followed me home. I kind of agree with what this person. I wish I could spend the night with Disney when it's just quiet and dark. I bet there's a lot of activity there since it attracts so much energy. Pretty much the rest are just comments. Wink Shaper goes, I doubt it was ghosts. Disney staff were probably touching them up. Elaine goes, the new definition of catch me outside. But it looks like it's pretty haunted by the cast members. Kind of makes me want to work there. I swear to God, it kind of does, only because it's haunted. But I feel like that's too cheery for my disposition. I'm kind of more on the haunted side of things, not the cheery, happiest place on earth thing. All right, guys, I am going to open it up to questions and answers. If you guys have any questions, answers, comments, any stories that you're interested in. Sabrina goes, I'd love to investigate Disneyland. I would too. That sounds like, after reading the stories, I'm all hyped now. Daniel Miles goes, a maintenance person's perfect job, especially the overnight maintenance people. It sounds cool. But it also sounds like for it being the happiest place on earth, it's had its faces of tragedy too, which is crazy. But I mean, it happens. It's not like it happens on rides. It does. I mean, there's so much. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but it does. But that's would sound like a awesome place to investigate. But then I don't know how you would even get in there unless you were a big name to get in there. But and it seems like the Emporium and the candy place, palace, is the most haunted. So note to self, if we ever get to Disneyland, we'll check out those two places. But there's going to be too many people if you go during normal things, so you probably won't even notice anything. I think you have to be in the stillness to experience when all the energy leaves is probably when they come out and play. Carol goes, I'm trying to figure out where this very large mouth. I don't know why I'm saying mouth. Moth, 3 inches long by 4 inches. Wow, that is large. Came from in my room flying around. Wow. Dusty Lane, so have you ever considered working in a museum? That may have some interesting experience. Oh, you know what, Dusty? You gave me an idea. No, if I lived in Vegas, Dusty, I would work at the Haunted Museum. No doubt. I'd probably have so much fun there. It wouldn't be a job to me. But you know what? But that was always my thought there, but we don't have something here. But that gave me an idea, Dusty. I'm going to look into that. Sabrina goes, if my mom's friend still works there, I'll hit her up about it. Oh, cool. Yeah. Matthew goes, the nighttime Disney events looks in ways better than in the day they do. But like the lights and everything. I agree with you, Matthew. Carol goes, it's been flying around at night for 2 days now. Wow. I still have that false widow in my room. I found him yesterday. I lost him again today, so I don't know where he's at. I am staying away from the door because pictures, I don't know if it was pictures of the bite from the false widow or a bite from another widow, but it did not look pretty, so I want to stay away. And there's two conflicting articles I've read about the bite of a false widow. But I lost him, so I'm staying away from my sliding glass door. He'll pop up somewhere. I couldn't kill him because when the first time I saw him, he was right above my fish tank, and I can't spray anything. Wake Shape Bear goes, will you do an investigation? Don't go on your own. Yeah, I'm down. Wake Shape Bear, I am down to doing that. Lately, I've been going by myself, so that's why if you notice, I've been going during the day. Like there are some places, some hiking places I want to go to. I just need to get that in gear and do it. But it's gas, so I'm kind of trying to conserve my gas here. But there are some places. But if I do them by myself, I'm going during the day because I won't go by myself. I won't. Like with dark places, I don't care how good the area is. It's not safe to be in a place, haunted or not, when you're by yourself. Matthew goes, yes, big head statues want gum T-Rex skeletons and such. But if I do go by myself, guys, it is going to be during the day, so I hope you don't mind, but I will tell you like the history and stuff about these places because I am not going to these places. I don't care how good the places are and how great of a city. Even the city I live in seems like it's the safest city on earth, but at night there's some other consequences. So I've heard stories of I've never had a problem, but I've heard people put crazy things like on and they live in my neighborhood and they're posting, well, we had a person follow us in a truck and it was during the day. So I've never had a problem like that, but still it makes cross my mind now that I don't want to walk at night anymore here or anywhere. And then also too, my eyesight isn't that great at night, so you might see me driving during the day too. Because my car headlights aren't that great. But which it seems weird. Like the last couple of nights I've been driving, I've been able to see better. So I don't know what it is. Wake Sheepberry goes, don't go anywhere by yourself. I won't. I tend to go hiking though by myself, but it's usually in areas I know already. I don't go to like bad areas. I kind of stay away from those areas. I've walked in downtown LA by myself one time, but in Skid Row looking for, this was a while ago, looking for the Cecil, and I did that. I just went around the block and I came back, but I try not to. I mean, now you can't. I mean, at that time, I think when I took a picture of the Cecil, you could go into it because at that time it was pre-pandemic, so you were able to go into it, and it was still kind of a hotel and a like like a rental, like long. I don't know what you call it, where they had renting people that could rent for more than a month, long-term residents. At that time, but now it's low income housing, and I would not step foot in that place because of I don't know who's even when it was open as a hotel, you never know because it could have. I had watched what you call it, a documentary on it, and they were saying that there were people paying for rooms as a hostel, and then there was long-term residents that you didn't know that could have just gotten out of jail recently, type of thing. So even then, it wasn't a great place to go. Sabrina goes, I got lost driving and ended up in Skid Row. Terrified. It is. It's not. During the day, it's not that bad, but at night, like in that area, there's not a lot of people. Like if you go late at night driving through LA, there's not a lot of people. It's quiet, so it's not the greatest place to be. And I've been in that area. I was with people though; it wasn't by myself. But we were going to like a what do you call it? Like a place. We're going to a music thing. But even driving through there, it's creepy, even during the day. But during the day, like I said, there's a lot of people walking around. And even here, like even when I'm walking the neighborhood, I try to stay away from. I used to walk around this one area, but I know that's an area where homeless are, so I kind of stay away from that area. And I do see random cars going down there, and it's a parking lot for because there's a YMCA there, so it's a parking lot for them, I believe, and then also there's a softball field there too as well. But there shouldn't be random cars at the bottom, like in at the end of it. So I kind of just stay away from there now. I used to walk around, but not anymore. Carol goes, "Don't get lost. I'm on an adventure." Sabrina goes, "It was about 2 a.m." Oh yes, scary looking people. Yes, it is scary at that time. Yes. Chris goes, Deaton is really quiet at night, but I still wouldn't walk around downtown at night. Doesn't matter how good the city is. You could live in a city where there's barely any crime. I still wouldn't walk at night by myself. I know there's some people that still leave their doors unlocked and stuff like that in some of these rural, country towns. But even if I was living in one of those country towns, I'll still lock my doors. I watch too many horror movies. I don't know. I've always grown up. When I grow up, my dad always made sure like the doors were locked. So that's just how I've always been. But I know there's people around here now that probably leave their door open. I could not do that. Heather, whatever goes, I've only had daytime stalkers and I lock like crazy. Sabrina goes, my doors are always locked. Yes. I always lock. No matter what. Even my car, I always have it locked. Heather, whatever goes, my husband left things open. Oh, that would drive me nuts. Chris goes, women living alone should always be careful. Exactly. I agree. Dusty goes, when I lived in Seattle in my 20s, I dressed appropriately and go downtown to the 5-star hotels and just walk in, check them out. It was fun to see. Oh, that's cool. That sounds fun, actually, Dusty. I mean, nowadays, Tyrana goes, yes, I always lock everything. Nowadays, you have to lock everything. You don't know who's out there. I'm hearing too many stories of home invasions. Like even in my little town, my town here, my city, it happened two couple streets down. There was a home invasion. So Carol goes, not here, too far away from a good size town. Carol, I would still lock up. I don't know why. It's just in me. I would love to live in a town like that though, because it's probably like super quiet. Nobody could bother you. Wake Berry has a cricket bat. Super good to have. I think we all have something like similar to that. I got a broom. That makes any sense. Carol goes, might get a home invasion from a bear, but a locked door isn't going to stop them. True. That's true. There was a news article here that a bear broke into a house and stole a pack of, I think it was in Monrovia, California here. Monrovia is a city that's close to the mountains. And what I heard was a bear broke in. I don't know if they left the window open and the screen and they broke through the screen, but a bear went through the window and took a pack of Oreos. Sabrina goes, cops were chasing a guy and he ran to our house and tried opening the door, but our security screen was locked. Cops said it was a very good thing that the door was locked. Whoa, yes. See, that's why you never know. Dusty goes, I live in a very rural area. Lisa Boo goes, Louisville slugger by the door. Carol goes, my dogs bark when there's danger. My other dog barks at everything. Chris goes, I have two small baseball bats in a couple places in the house. Give me a second, guys. Oh, it's a raccoon. I was like, what's setting off my camera? Heather, whatever goes, bears break in and make terrible messes. Sometimes my neighbors caretake places like peanut butter and flour and poop on the floor. Oh. Luckily, I don't have a problem with bears in this area. We just have a big problem with coyotes. They're famous here, online famous. But I saw one the other day actually walking down the street. I mean, we are technically taking their area away. So I don't mind if they're here. It's just I know that they've been eating people's cats for dinner. So, but the coyotes I see, they always seem very shy and they run away. Dusty goes, I live in a very rural area known as the Wild West. So many break-ins, everything gets locked up. Oh, wow. Heather, whatever goes, coyotes don't like air horns. Okay, I will keep that in mind because I do get coyotes. Carol goes, my Siberian husky catches moles and mice and plays with them. I mean, that's kind of cool because your husky takes care of the mice. Playing with them? I don't know. But that's kind of cool, though. You won't have a mole and mice problem. I mean, you would think because I have outside cats that I feed. I have 2 feral cats that I feed. That I would not get a mouse in my room, but I do get mice in my room every once in a while. They must not be mice hunters. Carol goes only outside, inside she ignores them. All right, never mind. Just making sure I don't miss anybody because I hate it when I miss people. Tyrana goes, we have coyotes and bobcats. We have bobcats, but I don't see them that often. I do see them when I go hiking. I'll see one every once in a while, but I see coyotes more than I do. But every time they see me, I'm like, "Hey, coyote!" They're like, and they run away. Chris goes, "I got a dog, and they're supposed to keep mice out, but they ain't afraid of them." Angelica goes, "I hate coyotes. They ate my poor dogs, a Chihuahua I had, and her daughter, who was a Yorkie mix with." Oh, I'm sorry to hear about that. That's sad. That's the only sad thing about them, but I understand. Sorry to hear that, Angelica. Thank you, Delea. Carol goes, "I have a septic system guy that hunts the problem coyotes around because of the farms around here." No, I understand. I get it. I hear a bunch of people saying, um, that's why you got to be careful. Dusty goes, "We have wild pigs, goats, and chickens. I only have to worry about the human predators. And sometimes the humans are worse than the animals." Wink Shapeberry goes, "A guy I know, cat, brought in mice, just played with them, and then let them go." My phone keeps beeping at me. I was like, "What the heck is going on?" Daniel goes, "We have only indoor cats." I have indoor cats, but I noticed like the neighborhood cats, and I started feeding them because I felt bad for them. So I have two that come around, um, that I take care of. That they're feral, but I take care of. Carol goes, "We just have to worry about the Fisher cats around here. They attack anything." Daniel goes, "For 15 years now, same cats." Wow, that's a long time, Daniel. That's a gift to have cats. I know some people have had their cats for 20 years, but that is a gift. Oh, Daniel changed it to 13. That's still a long time though, Daniel. Oh, Dusty, thank you for reminding me. Don't forget to show us Skeleduck. Thank you. Because I would have been like, all right, guys. Okay, Skeleduck, he is right there. He is under the Nerd Report sticker. He has his back facing us. He is right there, right where my finger is. Heather, whatever goes, American Indians call Satan coyote. Chris Barber goes, "My dad had an old cat, like late 20s. Daniel goes, "We lost the 15-year-old. Ah, sorry to hear, Daniel. It's always tough." I think I lost my cat about 2 years ago. And he was think he was 12. All right, guys, any last minute questions before I end this stream? And let me make sure I didn't forget anybody because I hate when I forget people. Nope, I did not. Elaine goes, I got the skeleton duck with the booty shot. Heather Whatever goes, thank you, great one. Thank you, Heather Whatever. I appreciate it. Lisa Boo, thank you. Great stream. Thank you, Daniel. All right, guys, I am going to end the stream here. Thank you for joining me on the Ghost of Disneyland. I'll see you on the next one, which will be Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Same bat channel, same bat time. Be there or be squared. Stay spooky, guys, and sweet nightmares. I will see you on the next one. Good night, guys. And thank you, guys. You're awesome.